you see from Miami?
Talk about awesome turnaround for their team. The quarterback came in 14, Gus, and he's hasn't thrown an interception this year. I think he's got 14 or 15 touchdown completions there. So they've really turned around. Bone 6 to 6-6. So they're playing with a lot of confidence. I think kind of midway through that year when the quarterback started playing, I think they tweaked a few things in their offense and then had some success. And I know their defense is playing well, so they got to be coming in with some confidence.
Can you compare them to anybody that you've seen this season?
A lot of the defense or offense, are very similar with some of their spread philosophies. It's they got right inside zone. The ball's going to be on the perimeter. A little bit of RPO action, so it's a lot of the same carryover we've seen. They'll even dabble in 21 personnel a little bit as well.
How have the guys kind of responded to making the transition into the game playing phase?
It's always got to dust some things off. Because we were in that really developmental mode, fall camp, spring football, mode where you're out going there and you're really working on just your own fundamentals and you're not really matching things up. And we weren't spending a bunch of time in the meeting rooms preparing for a certain style of offense. So now you just got to shift gears a little bit, and the guys will be okay. We got a good plan in place for the practice structure and how we're getting ready.
Is it one of those situations, maybe when y'all leave Saturday, y'all can go play the game on Sunday just because of what has kind of been through those 5 days of game planning?
Yeah, certainly. This is going to be, we're going to have our week of preparation here where we could go, you go drop the ball down anywhere you want, put in the parking lot, and we'll be ready to go. And then we will essentially just start to really refine it the second week down there.
How much of the tape, if any, do you watch from those first 6 games of Miami? Or did they change so much with the 6 wins that you just kind of throw out the first 6?
No, they haven't changed that much. I've watched all the 12 games, so you're just looking for really some themes and some patterns. I think they've moved, like one player around. He was in a role for the first 6 games, and then another 6 games, or the later 6 games, they started using him a little bit differently.
How does the Viper position kind of accentuate Marquise Spencer's, skill set?
Marquise is very athletic. He's almost a sneaky athlete. He's got good change of direction. He's strong. He's just really right now. We got to continue developing the experience part of it. But the Viper position is really the tweener positions between living in a linebacker world and living in a guy that puts his hand in the ground and only goes forward.
I'm always curious for defensive coaches' opinions on offensive players. Aris Williams, I know you see him in practice all the time, really came on second half of the season. From your point of view as a defensive coordinator, what makes him good? What makes him hard to stop?
Aris, I think, is really started to run with more authority and more power. I think as he continues to develop, he's a guy that's going to fall forward. In practice for us, he's on one-on-one tackle. It's a challenge for us to have it when contact occurs that there's no yards after contact. So I think he's come along well, and the versatility of some of the plays he can run is pretty great.
I went kind of defensive heavy in the JUCO signings yesterday. Just your thoughts on some of those guys?
Yeah, we're excited about all those guys coming in. And every year you better be excited about your recruit class. You put a lot of time and effort, and we put an immense amount of planning and projections on. Where these guys are going to come in and help us, and some of the flexibility it will give us on our current roster.
How much will it?
Coleman and Calvin now. Who's some guys besides like a Spencer or others that you're projecting now at the Viper position going into spring?
We'll kind of wait and see on that. There's a couple guys that could, but right now we're going to see how, what the last 2 weeks are, and then how these guys come in at mid-year. And then again, we just need to do a good job of identifying how we can make this defense the best group of athletes we can.
How helpful is it going to be to get all those guys that you signed yesterday in for the spring, to try to get them adjusted to things before you have to get fall camp going?
The whole mid-year, the early enrollee thing is a huge advantage for the guys that come in, especially junior college guys, high school guys. The early enrollment I think is a great benefit, but at the same time they're still so young. I think there's some of just the life change and the growing pains of leaving home, and then it's not like you come in and you're just a college student, but you're a college student, and on top of that you're playing football. So they kind of everything gets dumped on them in once. Where they come into the summer, the guys get here in June, they take some classes and they're working out, but they're really not in the football practice mode of it. So that's a challenge for them. The junior college guys, their mindset is they obviously did something in junior college to accelerate their credits so they could become an early enrollee. So their mindset's a little bit different than the high school guys.